We are red, red is on.
Oh, there's no two seat.
Yeah.
Where's, somebody's not here.
Wayne's not here. Time is now 7 o'clock. I'm going to call to order Tilton Budget Committee meeting of November, what's today's date? Eighth. Oh, it's right here in front of me. 2017. And the first order of business are the meeting minutes. We'll give everybody a few moments to look through the minutes and see if there's any discussion.
Congratulations. That was just such a wonderful thing. You must be very proud and deserving.
Yes. Yes.
I was thinking about that.
When I saw that, I was just tickled.
Let's stick to reading the minutes.
Oh, sorry. I read the minutes when Joanna sent them out.
I'll let the present selectman wait until after the minutes.
No, it's my fault. Sorry.
Everybody had a chance to read? Are there any comments or corrections? I'd like to make a comment and a correction. On the last page, I guess it's page 4 of 5, next to last page, in the paragraph that says, Mr. Jessman questioned when the mission of the library would become other than books, goes on to state that it equated to $35 per person. And I questioned that in my own mind at the time, but I didn't have any of the figures, so I asked him to find out what the real figure is. It's $27 per person.
I just divided 128,000 by 3,600.
So anyway, that should be corrected.
Do you know what numbers he used?
I know I don't.
Do you know what the
'Cause I
population
did
of
the
the
same
town
numbers
is,
and I
Kathy?
got the 35.
Population of the town is approximately 3,600.
There you
If
go.
you divide that into 120,000, that's where you get the...
Well, I'll check with him to see.
Okay, maybe he's
Obviously,
using a different figure.
He uses another formula probably.
Maybe someone can't read books yet.
So noted.
So let's leave it as it is then, if everybody's agreeable, and I will get back to you at the next meeting after I have checked with him. Okay, any other corrections?
I make a motion to accept the minutes of the Tilton Budget Committee for November 1st, 2017 as written.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Okay. Before, we're not having anyone, won't be here until 7:15, but Johanna, have you heard anything from the people that we didn't receive reports from? I noticed there's something from CASA now.
We did get something from CASA, and I was able to reschedule the other ones. We've got CASA coming in on the 29th, and New Beginnings and CAP coming in on the 15th.
Okay. And thank you for the revised schedule. Did everybody get a copy of the revised schedule? Did everybody get a copy of the September financials from Tim?
No, I did not.
Okay.
We didn't receive them at the last meeting, as I
No,
recall.
we did not, and we don't have them. I have them, because I received an email and Tim said that he had sent a copy to everyone. Apparently that didn't happen.
I missed mine.
Okay, well, I got the copy the beginning of the week.
Yep.
So apparently he did not send a copy. I will have him do that, and we have a full schedule tonight with the 3 agencies that are going to be in. So we'll discuss that next week. So make sure that you're prepared to discuss the financials next week, September financials, okay? And I will remind him to make sure everybody received a copy. I checked with him just before the meeting tonight. All right, we got,
Yeah, maybe they came on email, but I didn't print anything.
well, mine came on email, but it didn't come till the first of the week. Because I was looking for it because hadn't received it. When I talked to him last week, he said it was going to be ready. While we're waiting, John, do you have anything that of interest to us from Selectmen's meeting?
Last week was approved to go to the 16-hour dispatch. That was finally approved. And worked out. And they have 2 candidates that they plan on, or I've already been notified that they have been chosen.
Now, is that included in the tax figures that we received from Tim last week? That dispatch?
That's, those numbers have been included in the budget for next year.
Okay.
They've been, not sure, Catherine, that's, for this year, you mean in our tax amount?
I would suspect they were if he posted it on the website.
I'm sorry, I was reading, I didn't understand the
The
question.
tax rate, we
Yeah,
received those figures last week.
Our tax rate that we just received
Mm-hmm.
is not based on the decision the selectmen made last week.
Okay,
It's not, that was not part of that equation
okay.
at all.
All right, anything else, John?
That's it.
I hear someone.
Well, I'm not, it's a good question, because I think he would have put that in there because he's trying to calculate the amount for the rest of the year.
I don't think he would have projected that figure because he would have had to have done it.
Well, if he didn't, it's gonna make the tax rate.
Well, I think if I recall, the wages for the dispatch are already within the budget. We already have enough in the budget for that for this year. So it wouldn't change this year's budget, well,
Well,
naturally. So that, and that's based on the whole bottom line.
Okay, but I know there was the money, the meeting, the selectmen's meeting I attended, the money was in there for this year.
Mhm.
But I would think that it would have to be added in to next year.
Yeah. And what the number that came out for the tax rate was the final number for this year. So then we'll see next year's projected amount.
Do you have the, no, that wouldn't show about next year.
No, not yet.
Still a lot of numbers coming in.
All right. Hi,
Hi,
are you with Child and Family Services?
I am indeed, yeah.
Well, come on up and join us. We're a few minutes early, but that's good that you're here.
Yeah. Should I take any?
And if you would sign in there,
Yep.
and then we'll introduce ourselves, and you can
Yep.
introduce yourself. Thank you. questions?
Reason for attendance funding, or what should I say? Request?
Just budget.
Budget.
And I'm Jane Alden.
Hi, Jane.
Hi. And we'll-
Steven.
Christine Novitsky.
My name's John Scanlon.
Joe Jessamine.
Arthur Demas.
I think I gotta think of a device to remember all those names.
We have another selectman
There won't
in
be
the
a
corner,
test.
Catherine
Yeah.
Dawson.
Yes, she's not on the, she's just a guest tonight, we're not on the budget committee.
Okay.
All right,
Well, my name is Paul Stoller, and I'm with Child and Family. I've been there about 4 months now. This is my second town funding meeting, so I brought a lot of notes just to make sure I got it right. Child and Family, you want me to go ahead and say something about Child and Family? We are a 150-year-old organization devoted to children's services. We've expanded a little bit into other areas like elder services, but our core mission is to improve the life of children, and by supporting the children and supporting their families. We pride ourselves on doing that in the locales where the families are located, so we don't ask people to come in to us, we go out to them. And as such, we have, I think, 13 branch offices, and our caseworkers travel about 1 million miles a year. I double-checked that stat, that's accurate. It's about 1 million miles a year in terms of following up and giving in-home or in-community, at the very least, care to our clientele. We just specifically for Tilton, we had 45 clients in this township last year. They were spread across recipients of Camp Spalding scholarships, family counseling practices, integrated home-based services, and parent aid programming. We estimate that the total value, like market value of the services, might be like $30,796. A lot of it, some of it gets picked up by Medicaid and billing the state, but a lot of it doesn't. And so, my request of $3,000 to the town of Tilton is to help us defray those administrative costs and those travel costs to sustain the program, to even keep the programs alive in this. We're committed to doing it anyways, but this is really a request to help us defray those costs. I would say the one other thing I would say about Child and Family that since I'm relatively new, that I find impressive is we'll take on any issue. We just started, for example, a human trafficking program about, I think in last March. Nobody else is doing this. We'll take that up. We already have 34 cases of human trafficking in New Hampshire, and people think this never happens in my town. Nobody would think that. Why would you think that? And we're working with the Manchester PD and then other police departments to spread a sort of education network to help identify these people, and then what you do when you find one of these people. And we didn't think, this is the first year of the program, we thought we would just be setting up our network, and we already have 34 reported cases of what meet the federal statutes for human trafficking. So this is the kind of
What exactly is that statute? I mean, what is human trafficking?
It's sex and labor trafficking. So I'm not a lawyer. I couldn't quote to you exactly what comprises it. The one thing that surprised me, I was reading over the statistics, is that you think about it happening somewhere in Guatemala, and they steal these kids, and these were all U.S. citizens. And so this is just a person being held against their will to perform either sex or labor against their will. And it's tangential to the request to you, all of you. It's just testament to my new organization that, we'll go into these areas where it isn't necessarily easy to fund, it isn't necessarily profitable, it isn't necessarily sexy, but it is a statewide need. And the federal government's trying to do this all over the country because it's more and more, and we're the spearhead. We in the police department and the Justice Department are the spearhead in New Hampshire. So I just sort of offer that as more as an example of the kind of work we do.
I wouldn't think that there would be that much shock in this area since there was a case just this past year in Franklin that I believe was prosecuted,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, it's hiding in plain sight. Yeah, but your question about what exactly statute is, that's something I should look into. I couldn't.
wondered exactly what, you said it meets the federal statute, and I'm thinking, well, what does that define trafficking as? Just trying to get an idea of
No, yeah, it's a
the
good
breadth of what this might be.
It's a good question, and I probably should if I'm going to bring it up in discussion, I should familiarize myself with them, but I can't tell you
I think it involves crossing state lines.
as well. Yeah.
That case in Franklin, what happened?
Actually, that's a good question. All the 34 cases we have are U.S. citizens. I don't know that they're New Hampshire residents or they come from some other part of the country. But again, returning specifically, the 4 services we offer are Camp Spalding to Tilton, Camp Spalding Family Council, Integrated Home-Based Services, and Parent Aid. Again, we represent about 45 people.
Could you go into detail about each of those?
Yeah, Camp Spalding is a traditional summer camp, but it's run for kids who can't afford it. So it's a cooperation with the Nashua and the Concord YMCA's. They provide the program, and we provide the land and the structure. And it gives them a traditional 2-week summer camp experience. You know, what I'd like to say is, you see the list of the activities at the summer camp. There's all stuff that presumably we in the room get a chance to do or got a chance to do. These kids don't kayak, these kids don't, make candles or whatever the crazy stuff you do in summer camp is. And so this affords it, and we think it's a real pivotal experience. Just anecdotally, we think it's a real pivotal experience and these kids are our population, I don't have the exact number, but we serve only families in poverty with this camp, and it's under $14,000 was the mean salary of the family. Everyone's under $24,000, which is a family of 4. Defines poverty for a family of 4. So, and then we get repeat kids. So if a kid from Tilton comes, and it's hard to find the exact statistics, we would ask him again for successive years. Family counseling is like emergency counseling, which is coming into the home and discussing with families that are facing immediate crisis. The definitions for children, youth, adults, couples, families, help with child behavior challenges, problems in school, divorce, family adjustment, family violence, relationship conflicts, emotional conflicts, stress, self-defeating behaviors, addictive behaviors, which is, of course, is a huge one in these days, loss, trauma, anxiety, phobia, compulsions. And so we had 11 clients. That means 11 families, I don't know how many per family. That's 11 families we counseled in that way. Integrated home-based, integrated home-based services is a short-term service designed to restore positive function in families that needed multiple interventions. Services include therapy, youth tracking, family skill building, resource development, parent education, and support. And then finally, Parent Aid program is on and off-site supervised visits to help maintain the parent-child bond, provide emotional support, community resources, parenting education, strategies for family involved in child protective services. And what this mostly refers to is the safe visitation. So if you have if you have a set of parents who've divorced and there's a threat of violence, we supervise visitations, or we establish a place where that can happen in a safe, proactive place.
Where do your referrals come from?
Referrals for all of this comes from schools, doctors. Some of them are adjudicated from the court system. Like if they're presiding over a divorce and there's violence, they'll refer the children to, or they'll orchestrate the visits through us. Is the idea. So for all those programs, and some of them are self-identified. Some people come up and ask for services. And then the human trafficking is referred to by police, teachers, nurses, and that kind of thing. And that's the real thing, is to try to establish a network. Because you can't be all the eyes and ears. You gotta collect data.
Steve, any questions?
No, no.
Christine?
I don't think so.
John, any questions?
Do you have a parent organization Are you a division of the state? Are you a 501c3?
That's a great question. Because we just spent the weekend talking about it. No, we're not. We're a 150-year-old organization. It was started in Manchester by a community of churches, and just evolved from that core. And then we merged with other like agencies in Concord. They all developed up at around the same time, but during the industrial period. And we're just about to change our name because people think we're a state service, and we get, like, if somebody has a problem in DCYF, which is a state agency, we get called, our phone lines are lit up. We get people rejecting, we get clients who don't want our services because they think we're a state agency. We are not, and actually we'll unveil a new name in about a year and it's completely separate because we need to distinguish ourselves. No, we're not. To answer yourself in short, we're
Do you
not.
operate under the umbrella of that original organization?
Yeah.
Is
We're
that a faith-based
no longer.
thing? It's no longer?
No longer. And in most of our, we get state contracts, we get federal contracts, we apply for grants, we apply for state funding, and we appeal to individual contributors to sustain our programs. Yeah, so no, and actually we don't apply to any, I don't know if this is the point of your question, but we apply to no churches for funding, though maybe we should.
I wondered if it was separate or...
No, it's, at one point it was, a long time ago.
Okay, thank you.
What's the formula that was used to come up with the amount for the request from Tilton?
The request?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard, because you look at the number that we estimate the services at, and I think it's based on historic predilection that you might have to sustain the programs. None of our programs make money. It's all a loss. So we're requesting. I don't know if there's real science behind the $3,000 request. In all honesty, I think it's part of the administrative cost to network like we do and to sustain our programs like we do. But that's my honest answer is, I'd like to say, it's 5 hours. I think it's
per capita or?
I don't think so, sir. I'm also relatively new at this, but that's not. I can look into that question and see if Tony can give me an answer to it.
When you use the number 45, are you talking 45 families as clients or 45 individual?
It depends on the thing. Family counseling, integrated home-based service, and parent aid programs refer to families. When I refer to Camp Spalding, which I think is in our application to you, that's 8 kids.
What other local communities contribute to you?
To other local, I've got a list. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, this is in the package.
Yeah, no, it's fine, but we I was in Lee, was my first ever town hall meeting. I go to Northfield tomorrow. We try to go to the communities that we benefit and ask them.
I do know that you receive referrals from our welfare director also.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
And if you want, I'll follow up and I'll see if Tony has a
curious.
formula for that.
There's a list, yeah.
Yes. It's on the list.
Most of us have got it if you want to.
Manchester's not on the list.
Manchester, we yeah, I don't know why. I actually literally don't. I hadn't thought of it. I don't know why. I could ask that. We get city supports. I don't know if I apply through the city budget in that way, because we have a lot of activity. Obviously, like all our homeless youth programming is. It's in the Seacoast area and it's in Manchester because that's where the homeless youth go. And so I know they help a lot with our youth resource center. I don't know that we apply through this process to them. I'm not sure that's the answer, but that's my guess right now.
Yeah, because it's big with the homeless youth in Manchester. That's how someone I knew, and that's why I'm familiar with that service.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, we have a whole youth, we operate a center, a physical center there because so many of them congregate. We also have vans, we have a outreach van service all along the seacoast, which they go and they flock towards Hampton Beach and those communities as well. I mean, it's everywhere, but those are the, we couldn't run a program everywhere.
Yep. This would be huge.
Any other questions?
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
No, I'm very familiar with,
Yeah, usually Ruth's Axe comes, and yeah, she said she knows you guys well. Yeah, I'm her kind of replacement this year, so we'll see. I think she's been doing the job 40 years, so it's a tough act to follow. But thank you for your consideration. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
I didn't know they started it with a group of churches, though. I didn't know that.
Communities down there.
Yeah. I did.
Okay.
Dawn, would you like to come up and join us?
We may.
You may.
I want to jump up on you guys in case you're still shuffling papers.
Would you please sign in?
Always shuffling papers and numbers. And
The gentleman with you.
Some bum she picked up. All right.
It's great to have Scott here still.
I have a question, by the way. When somebody's a transient, does that mean they're homeless?
Yes, basically.
No fixed address.
Yeah,
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 well, I
no
just-
fixed address, right.
You know,
Yeah.
when it came up that there were so many, he said there were so many in Manchester or the seacoast,
Mm.
and I cannot tell you how many transients there are when I read the paper, so I think it's an issue
It
everywhere.
is an issue everywhere. In fact, usually you see it in the police blotter.
Yeah.
And they're sitting in the jails because depending on the offense that they have, they can't get bail if they don't have a fixed address. So, and of course, many of them aren't working, so. But
It's always good to see the two of you.
yes, good to see you guys. And we have some new faces.
Yeah, you were
Suspect-
Steve.
This is the same old face.
Yeah, no, you are. Yeah.
I pulled something over on my face today at Market Basket, so I have a scar. on it.
Well, I'm Scott Hilliard for Steve, and you are, sir?
Alpha.
Alpha.
Nice to meet you, and I'm
Yeah,
Dawn
Joe
Schultz.
Jack.
Yeah, well, yeah, Joe, I know you.
John.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
it.
I said a
Hi,
couple.
John.
So, and Dawn is obviously our director of the program, so. And Catherine is one of our board members as well, so.
And Joanna helps me when I need help with my QuickBooks. So,
That's where
I'm
that
here
happened.
that's off and on. But for those of you who aren't familiar with the program, I can just go over some of the basics. And I do have some brochures. So if anybody would like a brochure.
I
would
love
a couple.
brochures. Thank
Would you
you.
like one?
Do you like a
Try to
brochure?
kill as few trees as we can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And some this way if you'd like. So the Youth Assistance Program continues. Oh my gosh, I just scared me. Got way into that. It got loud suddenly. But we continue to work with young people who have committed offenses in the community. So that's our juvenile court diversion program. These kids ordinarily are first-time offenders and are referred by the police department, occasionally by court, and school resource officer included. And sometimes I do get referrals for school discipline, part of the discipline plan. So we work very closely with the police department and the schools. That's part of my caseload. The other part is young people who are in need of services. It's a lot of middle school students who are doing risky things who are referred for support. Their parents are often also referred, so we do support services. We have anger management program and positive decision making. I have a girls group that is keeps me on my toes, and middle school is a lively bunch. So we do a lot of different support services, and we're there for whoever comes in the door.
when we were responsible for the sunflowers that are across the street. That's where I first met them.
Yeah.
And I also want to say that they come to the senior center and help us there, and it's very welcome to have them there.
And it is a wonderful union, the young people with the seniors. They get so much out of it, the kids do. So we love coming. As a matter of fact, I have a boy who is already looking forward to summer. Imagine that, you know? He's already looking forward to summer. And one of the things he said is, well, I can also help at the senior center because I won't have school.
Right.
And we had two young people that came to the senior center to help out, and they had a bake sale, I believe, and made some money, and they wanted to give that money to the senior center. And so
Yeah.
I think it's really good, because I think a lot of young people have no respect whatsoever for the elders.
Right.
And by that interaction, I know it's good for the seniors, and it's also good
It's
for the
good
young
for the
people.
kids,
It
yeah.
really is.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things that we see is that, as you might well be aware, is that sometimes we're the program is their best parent or their best guardian, and it's unfortunate, but you know, they come from some of them come from families who've got their own issues, as you might imagine, and hopefully somewhere along the line, you know, some guidance and somebody with, a lot of times it's teachers or Dawn. Dawn was talking to me earlier about a young man that lives in a tent and needed a shower because he doesn't have a home. So,
And I didn't have power, so I could say, you know what, I've been looking for a shower myself. So I used a friend's, and then I was able to take him over and drop him off at a friend's house. But one of the things I didn't mention, but it is in the paperwork, is that I do spend a fair amount of time at the school too. So I do work with the guidance department there and the administration, and do work with prevention programs. So the nice thing about that is the middle school students do know me. So when they do come in, they've already seen me, you know, and then when they move on to high school, they also know about the services. And so...
I know there's one of your ex-clients that I met here at the budget committee, and I'm still in touch with her, and you know, that's good to see that the program has been very successful with a lot of people.
yes, we have. Yes. Yep. And we've been in existence since 1975, and really the program was started by a man named Dick Smart, who Richard Smart, his brothers, Fred Smart. The chapel's named after him at Tilton School. And in fact, it was a long time ago, I delivered Dick's newspaper. And everybody on his street got the Manchester Union Leader. I delivered both papers, but he got the Concord Monitor. And I used to say, you can keep that other rag, he said. But Dick was a very nice man, and really started this program because he believed the kids deserved a second chance, not to get a record, and prevention programs, as you know, do that. So the program's been in existence for a long time. This board and this community have always been very supportive, and we appreciate that.
Well, one of the things that impresses me is that it seems that no matter where I go, I'm very likely to see Dawn with one of our clients helping out.
Yeah.
And I think that says something about the program in itself.
That segues nicely into my question. How many employees are there at the Youth Assistance Program?
I am the only employee.
I kind of picked up on that. And how many clients do you serve?
Well, usually it's over 300, but that's also part of the school program. So usually I'm seeing about 50 on my caseload.
And you do that how?
I do. Well, sometimes I do groups.
Oh, well, there you go. No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Well, and
Put
a
it
lot
together.
of, and some, Joe, some have more needs than others.
Right.
Some are longer than others. I did a SASE evaluation, which is one of our drug and alcohol evaluations, tonight on with a high school student. She will probably the plan is for her to come back one more time and look at the results with her mom, and then make a plan from there. And, so that one's not a juvenile court diversion. It could go 3 months, it might go 3 weeks.
I've always been supportive of your mission in the past, certainly. I do have a question about the cost of your insurance plan. 61% of your total compensation cost is insurance.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And so what's up with that?
Well, you know what, we made changes, when was that, like?
Last
five-
year.
No,
Oh, the first one, when we went to school care.
right. We went to school care because Northfield was using that, and, they impressed upon us that it was a better
Yeah.
price, and and it was, but then it just seems like, that one kind of went like this, and this one went down like this, and then we went to a lesser
A plan,
plan within there,
Yeah,
but it's still a lot of money.
yeah.
It is. Do you have a family plan? Is
I
that-
do have a
Yeah.
family
That,
plan.
that would help to explain why it's
Yeah.
so expensive.
Okay, and honestly, I only have 1 kid. I mean, I wish I had 7 kids, because it would have been the same price,
Right,
okay?
yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you could tell me if the town is looking at similar type increases on their family plan in that neighborhood.
I don't think we've gotten the numbers from Joyce, she's working
My
on it.
understanding is there won't be any increases in the insurance, but the town, of course, is part of a group.
Yes, I remember from last year and that, I know how it has worked.
What we were told, I believe last week, is that it should be
The same.
pretty much the same.
see, and I'm not a part of a
And you're a
group.
single employee, so that
Right.
that would be a thing. Sure.
And we were at one time part of Northfield's plan. About 5 years ago, it changed because we're a 501c3, but we're supported by the 2 communities.
Yeah.
So when school care took a hike, and unfortunately we went with it. So,
Okay, that constitutes my 8 questions.
thank you.
Are there any questions? Joe, any more?
No,
No,
I
all
love
set.
youth
Thanks,
assistance.
Thank you.
You do a good
Well, I was
thing.
gonna say they're asking for a little more than the last time, but the only thing I could see was the salary and the insurance was the increase. Those are the only increases.
Right, those are the only increases. We did we've always based our funding requests on the school.
Right.
And so we, this year, updated the school funding. And so that's a lot of the increase.
Right.
Is that, because Tilton has more kids than it used to have.
Right. So that's I think it's 4,300.
My goodness.
I know.
You all set?
Okay, well, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Very much.
Always appreciate your support. So.
All right, moving right along, and we got 5 minutes early, but I don't think you guys mind, do you?
No.
Want to come up?
Madam Chair, at this time, I'd like to excuse myself,
I think-
as I am a member of the Recreation Council.
I think we all know everybody.
Yeah.
Steve, I think you're the only one that's new, if you would like to introduce.
Stephen,
And Arthur. Well,
Arthur.
Yeah. And Arthur DeMoss, you might introduce yourselves.
Looks familiar. How are you?
Good. You want to sign in?
Sure. So was there a telephone pole or something down by you? They blocked the whole road off. There was a big pole up. It's
crazy.
Yeah.
We were without power for a week, so.
They blocked the road for a few days, didn't they?
Yeah, then MetroCast came and picked the line up.
Yeah, there's
And
now a
then-
new pole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just had to wait on those transformers to be put on it, so. But
Did you get your own transformer?
I don't know what they did. I was just grateful at 5 o'clock Friday afternoon to have lights back on.
Did you have power at home?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it's always good to see you guys.
Thank you for having us. I'm going to let Brittany take the floor because she's now the executive director, so.
Congratulations, Brittany.
Thank you. I do have updated copies if you would all like them. They're updated as of the 31st of October.
Excellent, thanks.
Thank you.
Is your year end usually December?
Yes.
All right, so for Floyd, you're good.
I'm obviously, as you can see, that, I mean, we're looking at the same in both towns in 2018. After, I'm sure that you guys have questions.
Well, Steve and Arthur have really not been here before, so if
Okay.
you would give them a little bit of background.
Sure,
What the
so,
programs you're offering are.
sure, so we're the
Changes you made.
Tilton Northfield Recreation Council. Essentially, we serve as the recreation department for Tilton and Northfield, the communities of Tilton and Northfield. We offer programming for all ages. Usually, right now, kindergarten. We are a licensed child care facility. So our license is for school-age children, kindergarten through 5th grade. We do offer other programming for teens, adults, and seniors. Before and after school programs for those school-age children, summer camps, teen camps, counselor and training programs. We have instructors that come in that we contract, that come in and they teach. We have Zumba, yoga, cooking classes, a variety of recreational programming.
How's the building doing? The roof and the
It's
heating
hanging.
and all that?
It's hanging in there. We are working to. I know that obviously we had discussed we're working to get our camera system up and running. We are looking to make some improvements for security purposes, like we're replacing our front doors and another set of glass doors. We'll have new locking systems, but obviously with the power out last week, our sprinkler system kind of took a little bit of a hit, but it's back up and running. Everything's good
Right now.
right now. Yes.
Heating system and all that?
Everything's good with the heating system. We have a couple units that we actually are working with Hall's Burner Service. James is going to come over and look at them. Fortunately for us, they do still make parts for these units, so they can be repaired. We have one that basically the blower's not working, but he has a gentleman who works for him who's very skilled in that area and is going to come in and look at those and repair what needs to be repaired.
Did you always have dog obedience classes over there?
Not always, but Diane, the woman that runs them, she's been, I think she's taking a little bit of a break now, but she's been offering them consistently.
A couple of years.
For the past, year and a half.
They had a pet fair there for a number of years.
Yeah, that was the Rotary.
The Rotary,
did
yeah.
that. Yep, they held it over at our building.
How many kids were served under the Tilton Scholarship Financials? I got 2,167 for dollars. Oh, total of 3 children? Okay. I should keep reading.
One of the things we did do, just for future reference, you had provided a list of the names of the people who received it, and we destroyed that page because it really was private.
Thank
So in the future, you don't need to give us individual names.
Do you see an increase of it in attendance over there now?
I think because we're offering a lot of new programming, that we are seeing a lot more people through the door. We did have a craft fair. It was our first craft fair this past weekend. We had over 30 crafters and vendors in the building, and it was a pretty busy day, a lot of new faces. And it's definitely, and we have people signing up for next year. So it's going to be an annual event. So, but yeah, lots of new programming, a lot of fundraising, new fundraising programming stuff that we've done over the past year that we're going to try to continue to do. So I think that overall that we've had a lot more people walking through our doors because of those events.
What is your goal as to the security being all up and running?
Our hope is to have the cameras in by the new year, and that's going to be huge. The cameras are of really good quality, and they're going to be inside and outside the building. The new doors that are going to be put in, they're just going to be safer. The doors that we have now, they're older. It's time that they be replaced. But I think that, like I said, the camera system alone, I think, is going to provide.
Is it a recording type?
Yes. Yep.
I think you're to be commended for what you were able to do, given the circumstances. I think a lot of organizations would have folded, and that would have been it. So I think all of you should be commended, and I think you did an outstanding job in recovering from that. And addressing things like you in a fairly short period of time, you were able to get your state license. That a lot of people would have seen that as a way to close your doors, and you didn't. You took that on and you made it your own, and you did something with it. So, commend you on that.
Thank you. Looks like you're getting a lot more rental income.
Yes, we have rented our classroom, 603 Karate, if you haven't stopped over. John is the gentleman's name, and he's got a really good program running out of there now.
As the needs of the communities change, do you have any plans to change, for instance, doing things like tutoring or combining with some of the other places like the library or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked to the library about working on stuff. I know that they're pretty busy, but working on getting some kind of program or working with them to have a program either at our facility or their facility. That is something that we talked about. And I know working with Samantha, who is our new recreation director, she's got a lot of new ideas as far as working with other organizations. I know we've talked about working with the Penny Youth Center now that they're up and running. And so, yeah, that is a goal of ours, to try to work with other agencies and organizations in the community.
Good. Have we reached out to the schools at all so that...
Yeah, we're very fortunate, actually. The schools are great to us. The craft fair, just to give you an example, the craft fair, we had the junior class, some of the members of the junior class helping. They were there for setup on Friday. They helped the crafters and vendors. They were there on Saturday to help us with concessions, and we're hoping to organize another. It was a fundraiser for them as well, but I'm hoping to organize another fundraiser with them. But we work with the schools a lot. We were able to utilize the schools for our before and after school program when we were without power last week.
Very helpful.
Yeah, we have a very good relationship with the schools, all four, both elementary and then middle and high. So,
What's the increase in professional fees?
that would be,
And then,
Rosemary, correct me if I'm wrong, it would be a line of credit.
We took out, let's see, 3 years ago, I believe it was, we came to this meeting in Northfield, and we had actually asked them for an advance in our quarterly payment, and they were gracious enough to give that to us, but one of the selectmen posed a question to us as well. What are you going to do next time this happens? If you come back here next year looking for this advance, So we actually took out a line of credit, and the bank had been very gracious in only requiring that we pay the interest. So when we rented the classroom, as soon as we started getting that rental income, that just goes right towards the line of credit. So, but for lack of a better place to put it, we just lumped it into the professional fees line.
Steve, any questions?
No, all right.
I'm good.
Gonna work on getting that grant line up?
Yes.
Yeah, now that I've started, I mean, I kind of took it, I started writing them, I think the winter last year, so that was my first go at it. But yes, gonna look for more opportunities. We actually did we have a new office staff who's also familiar with grant writing. So we're hoping she will be able to, yeah, be helping me in that respect as well, because she has experience with it too, so. Yep.
Jane Catherine has something.
I know I
Yeah.
saw. Yeah.
I apologize if this question was asked. Sometimes it's a little hard to hear when I'm sitting behind you. But on your appropriation request to the Budget Committee, down on the bottom, it says our prices in 2018 to Tilton resident businesses will increase, that's circled, and then remain the same is also circled. Because I noticed on your programs, it's actually gone down, so
I think,
it must either remain the same or decrease, because it certainly wouldn't increase if your programming has gone down.
I think the reason why is because in some programs you may see an increase in price, but not all programs will see that increase, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Well, then,
So yes and no.
why did the program budget go from 126,650 in 2017? That income, now it's estimated at 118,800. I mean, it's not a big jump, but it's,
The first line on the income.
Oh, I see.
Oh, the 126, so that.
what did you lose in programming?
I think with licensing and stuff like that, we've had, especially with some of our programming, we've seen some drop in numbers, but I think that's just trying to meet where we think we're gonna be at,
Yeah.
based on the numbers that we've seen. I don't think that the hit was, it's really hard to say what it was, you know what I mean, it's all for parents and affordable fees and stuff like that. There is knowledge, obviously, of the fact that we do offer financial aid, which is like a lot of our grants and assistance fund, but I think that's to kind of even out what we think we're gonna end up being based on what we did see for numbers in some of our larger programs.
So, in following the same line of questioning, the number of services you provide in Tilton will increase. What services will increase for Tilton? Some will remain the same.
So as far as services, I think it's the programming that we're anticipating offering a lot of new programming. Like I said, working with Samantha, grouping with other agencies, and obviously new instructors coming in and stuff like that. We anticipate to offer more programs. That's always the goal. Different things, some of the same things you'll see, but definitely new ideas, fresh ideas for stuff that we maybe haven't tried before that will get more people in the building.
Well, I'm about to ask the same question I asked you every time.
But, yes, okay. So what I can say, as far as the teen population goes, so we do see, like I said, we grouped with, we're working with the junior class, which was great. Their class advisor, Emily, I know that she worked with Samantha worked mainly with that group, I did not. But I thought that was great, working with that group. We have a counselor and training program in the summer, which we often exceed where we're at because we have so many kids that are interested in it. So, I mean, that's great. I know that Samantha has a lot of new ideas with getting them in. We do see them coming in the afternoons, very eager to help with stuff. We've tried to include them when we do like an ELPS workshop night. We have a teen night as well. They do different activities, but it's an opportunity for them to come hang out with their friends. We have stuff, activities for them to participate in. Some of the programs that we like, the adult programs, they are obviously also for the teen population, like our Zumba class, our yoga class. We have seen some teens participate in that, though maybe not as many as you'd expect. But as always, it is a difficult population. It's tough to get them, especially when they're doing sports. They have things going on at school in the afternoons, homework, that kind of stuff. Their lives change a little bit, I think, once they reach the middle school, high school age.
I'm always thinking more of the ones that kind of fall between the cracks, that
Right.
can't participate in school events, maybe aren't doing so well in school, you know, and you see them roaming around town.
Just to emphasize on that, both my teenagers had that cooking class.
Yeah, I was just
So
gonna say.
that was a cooking class that was kind of quick, up and running, first
Just
time
started.
starting. So I can attest that my two teenagers signed up for that.
And we also just had a large portion of our children that were in our program now have just gone into the middle school, so we're starting to see those children coming back and off the bus, whereas last year it was maybe 2 middle schoolers that came off the bus. Now we're seeing almost 10 of them, and especially with the sports that just ended, a lot of them are coming off the bus opposed to going to their sports now. They're coming off and doing their homework and utilizing each other and interacting with us and asking, more programs that we are going to offer. So I've been actually communicating with the middle schoolers themselves on ways to get them involved and things that they would like to be interested in. Why is it that they haven't been coming to times, and what would make them want to and participate with us in things?
Any thought of just having a hangout room for them?
We do, or we have a, what we call, if you will, in the building, the game room. There's things for them to do in there that are somewhat age appropriate. I mean, I know that they're into the screen, they're into the screen time, that kind of stuff. Air hockey table, they can do their homework, they can socialize with their friends. So it is kind of a room just for them, where we're not having our program
But it's still a
participants.
specialized group. I mean, I know of a young teenager that just took his own life just a short time ago, just a few short days ago, suffering from depression and drug addiction. Young teenager, young. So we're losing them.
We are.
And we don't have much in town, the town of Tilton, to keep these kids from falling by the wayside. There really isn't much. We have youth assistants, but they've already
Worked
tripped
a
and
lot to get to
fallen.
there.
Yeah, so, something to, in this day and age especially, to keep them from going that route.
Right, and I
Let
would
me tell
agree.
you, Catherine, I've been on the rec council now for a month and a half, 2 months maybe, and the hiring process of Samantha, it's got ideas, you know what I mean? And it's a fresh energy in the building, even though she's been there for what, 72 years or something, since she was a baby. She knows these people, they know her, and they seem to really like her. So, and I'm not saying that Brittany was doing bad, but Brittany's filling a role that hasn't been filled. All right, we had somebody in that position over there that wasn't doing the job that she does. The level of, well, I know you have concerns. We've had this conversation. She brought it to a different level than what was happening over there. So I'm very optimistic. So,
You need to look anymore.
oh no, we have good employees.
I think you do, but I just.
But I don't think
I
anybody's
look forward
questioned
to
in defense of Brittany,
Not asking.
Brittany's commitment.
No, it isn't about Brittany,
You know.
it's about a different level of service than we were getting here in the past. Brittany just happens to be the facility for that. Or
But I think
facility.
Brittany has always been committed to the
Absolutely.
recreation center. I've never doubted that.
I think she's
I-
made great improvements.
Yeah, she
to it.
has.
Absolutely, and that's
And
my
probably
point.
could have done it a number of years ago had she been given the opportunity. Okay, that's just my own opinion on what I've seen happen over there.
But yeah, it's something that we certainly are going to be working towards. And like
Good.
Joe said, she's got a lot of fresh ideas, and she does have a really good, she coaches at the middle school, so she has a good relationship with a lot of the kids there. And I know that she'll pick their brains for things that we can do, like she was saying, so.
We've been talking about how there's ways I know I come at her with a lot of ideas, so we're trying to figure out which ones we can actually work on and slowly progress with and incorporate into the budget and make sure that it's affordable. So, but I'm excited to work with middle schoolers, and I hope that we start to get more.
Sure. Thank you.
Do you have on your board, do you have a member at large from the school community? By that, a student?
We don't, no. I mean,
Would that help maybe in
There's somebody will, I mean, we're working with the junior class now, so.
I mean, I know I'm ancient, but I was thinking back when I hear the question of, you know, what to do for kids and hang out. When I was a teenager, back in the Stone Age, we had something called Teen Square. And, you know, it was the hangout. And before that, kids were hanging out in places they shouldn't be. And believe it or not, in those days, drugs were an issue too. This was just before the 60s when it really blossomed. But it gave young people a place to go in the afternoon. And I know that one of the things was that there was always a student who was on the board. So that was kind of the communication between us and them, meaning the adults or the old people. So that was just something that popped into my head that it might be helpful.
Right. Well, we don't necessarily have one on the board, but the children that I have been working with, the reason I chose the junior class is because multiple employees that we had this summer that started with us were children that came through our program and are in the junior class, and one of them is their president. And she came to me and said, you know, I'm struggling with fundraising, and I explained to her that she could pair up with me. And then after we saw how successful the craft fair was with them, they've already reached out to me asking, you know, how we can do another one, and we're working on the next one. So I do think that's a great start. I think the biggest struggle with making a certain spot in the building for them came with the licensing that we just had. Now that we've got that under our belt, I think it'll be easier to try to work on a run for them. We had to make sure that we met, you know, certain requirements, and that the runs, you know, met the requirements for that child, the age group that we serve. So now I think it's going to be easier to focus on middle schoolers now that we've gone through that for, I don't know, it's been about a year that we've been licensed.
Yeah.
Well, working on to, yeah, so.
Yeah.
But no, I'm looking very much forward to incorporating a higher age group and working with them and helping them and making sure that they aren't on the streets, so.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
The answer to the question about the fixing our dispatch tax rate, I was correct. I just confirmed it with him.
Thank you.
It didn't affect, it wasn't part of the tax rate calculation. Will be next year.
For those of you, Steve and Arthur, I've really seen the Recreation Council come a long way. Sometimes it takes something like what it took to shake an organization up, but I think they've done a lot.
You still
I
go
thought it
over
was
there?
gonna fold
Yeah.
See a lot more people
at
inside.
one time. And it could have.
Pardon, Joe?
I thought it was gonna fold at one time, and it could have. It could have. They made big strides, I think. Not thanks to me, certainly, but I'm glad to be part of the help now.
There's things like internships from the community colleges too that I think maybe could help
I
them out.
think your idea about getting a teen-type youth person,
Yeah.
school-age kid on the board, and I think that's great. I think that's great.
One of the
I'm sure
things
that'll
that
come up at the
one of the
next
things
meeting.
I've heard kids say when it said, well, why don't you go to the Pines and do something? The reaction has been, well, I did that as a little kid, I don't want to go now. And so I think that anything they can do to bring that age group, to keep that age group interested, or re-engage that age group would be beneficial.
I like the idea that she's hitting up the middle schoolers, and the middle schoolers are starting to show up because they may not be teenagers yet, or they're right on the edge of that, but the more they come and the more they program, the more will come. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I went to the Pines and it was great, and we did this and that. It's like, well, maybe I'll go next time. So, hey, I'm hopeful. We'll see how it works out. The craft fair was a big success, and those kids did great. I was very skeptical. I was going to corral 20 kids, and Samantha did it.
Well, craft fairs are a very successful period. I mean,
Not with me, they're not.
I know.
I go to a craft fair, there's nothing,
It's not
literally
my
nothing I can
thing,
buy.
But a lot of people, that's where they live, to
Oh,
go to
no, I
craft
know,
fairs.
there was a lot of people, you couldn't, they were parking on the basketball court out back.
Yep. All right, has anybody got anything else tonight?
Not a...
Motion to adjourn?
Oh, second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? I'm willing to
So
Joe.
Pemmy New Beginnings and.
Oh, no, I'm not opposed at all.
No, I'm gonna ask you, why don't, you know,
Oh,
I think,
I had it. It's over there on the table.
oh, no.
No, on that table.
Diana's recording.
And